So I figured to make a video talking about, well, why should Generation Z, for Zoomer, really care about their health? Why should they care at all? And so the question remains, right? Because I'm talking about health and I'm a millennial of the new generation, right? And so to me, it's not more of a division, it's more of a difference, where I see some people my age who are like, who cares what I eat? Who cares what I do? It doesn't matter. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I'll worry about it if I get older, something happens to me, right? So more of the treatment model, which we've been doing instead of prevention, right? So fits into that narrative. And then there's the other side where there's these people doing all these hip things like avocado toast and doing juicing and smoothies, and that's great. But a lot of it is also very trendy. So you have two sides to it, right? And then you may have the people who say, oh, soy, that'll turn you gay. And, you know, that has phytoestrogens. They have a point, right? And they can say atrazine in the water turns people gay. And that's a study done. So, you know, there's different things that back up different claims. However, it's always getting down to that deeper root cause, right? Because I have here on the screen a picture of coffee beans, and the reason why I did that is because most people will look at that and say, well, caffeine is kind of controversial, right? Some people consider it a drug, some people consider it this, some people consider it that. I can make a whole video about that, but the truth is that it doesn't matter. It comes from nature, right? What matters is if you know what it's doing to your body. And so that's symbolic to the conversation that I am proposing right now is, why should the new generation care about health? It's because they should be caring about their body. Now, becoming too self-aware, too self-conscious is a thing, right? It's like overthinking something. It's not bad at the slightest because some people don't think at all. But again, there's two extremes, right? So do we want to be on the extreme side of things, or do we want to see the balance, the harmony? So I may look crazy. I might be that all nature-loving tree hugger person, whatever you want to call me, right? And you may say, oh, you're having soy. No, dude, I eat meat, okay? I'm not vegan. Most people, when I say, oh, well, you know, I like to eat healthy, they think, oh, you're automatically vegan. And that's not the case. And it doesn't have to be the case. That's part of the issue that we have, is making these quick assumptions and not looking deeper at the root cause. So when it comes to the new generation, I do have a couple questions for those of you who are part of the new generation, right? Before I get into the other perspectives. So for the people who are part of the new generation, my question to you is basically, have you had anyone in your family that has dealt with cancer? Right? Because cancer usually develops later on in life, and now we're seeing it even younger and younger. But if you don't care what you're eating now, what is that? That doesn't mean you're not gonna get something in the future. Oh yeah, I have a great metabolism now. You don't think it's slowing down, and then you'll blame it on aging, and then you'll blame it on genetics, and the doctor might agree with those things. But do they care at all about nutrition? Do you care at all about nutrition? Have you looked into it for yourself? Do you care is the question. And a lot of people, frankly, just do not care. A lot of things in society is from ignorance and from nescience, which is, you know, that the information isn't even present to begin with. But most of the time, the information is present. You have the internet. You can do anything with the internet. That's how I got my first original education and found my passion unknowingly, because I used the internet as a useful tool, as something that would give me productiveness within my education. And little did I know, I was reading studies, and while I wouldn't read books, I would read studies, I would read articles, and all of a sudden, you know, they say reading makes you smarter. I mean, I just kept reading, and I didn't realize that it would help expand my brain, and I didn't realize it would help me ask the questions. So that's actually expanding your education. And it's not that the education relies on the school system, which is another thing that Gen Z is waking up to, is the school system. They're waking up to politics and the whole political realm that's out there. You see a whole bunch of people like Nick Fuentes getting up there on camera with high energy. It's like, come on guys, like look what's going on in our country. And being open to that perspective, being open to my perspective, and then really seeing, can't really care, right, about these things. No, you do have to care. And it's not that you have to care, but you should to some extent, because you never know what can happen to you. And that's not a threat. It's not something that's saying, okay, well, something will happen to you in the future, but it's bound to happen. Through cause and effect, you're going to have different reactions. You're going to have some bad digestion certain days, and that could be a sign. If you're still getting sick, that's a sign. And so, getting sick is very common. And then I have another question, right? Other than are you sick and have you had a family member that's dealt with cancer? My other question is, uh, how do you see all this in the media and stuff? Do you just go on about how many sodas are you drinking? Some people just say balance and moderation is key to everything. I mean, do you have logic behind the decisions you're making in this life, or are you just being a sheep like everyone else? Right? I mean, are you just following the herd and just going with everything? Because let's say in the political realm, you're like, oh, I'm anti this, and I'm all about freedom and all this, but if you're about freedom, are you about health freedom? You can't keep these holes in the picture, this bigger picture that is life, because health means whole. So to be missing some aspect, you're already compromising your health to some extent, right? And how government and history can affect people's health, and it does, right? Things on the media, things on TV can affect people's health all the time. So my other questions are: do you have some form of depression? Do you have some form of anxiety? These are things that I noticed when I was in high school. A lot of kids had struggles with, and it's not something that is uncommon if you do, right? And that was also in cyber school and public school, because I was in both, so I had a different perspective on that too. And I can make another future video about the schooling system as well, and the two different types and the emerging types. But generally, it all comes down to you, because everything you consume, all the information you consume, is going through you, and that's like a water filter. You're choosing what to stay and what to keep and what to go. And for a lot of people, it could be overwhelming if they're trying to take too much in and it's not benefiting them. You want to go with your passion, your heart, so why should you be taking a course that isn't, beneficial to you? And then that could be a root to a lot of people's depression, but oftentimes it's often the family environment. It's their environments that have nothing to do with school, but school tries to put this big burden on their lives in addition to their home environments and stuff like that. So that might not be very good. So keeping that in mind, that's all health related, all your feelings, all your emotions, that's all health related. So just because, you don't have this disease or that disease or this title does not mean that your health is perfect, or it doesn't mean that your health is bad either. It's just a matter of awareness. And so again, it's not that I want you to be too self-aware, but I want you to acknowledge the fact that you do have a self-healing mechanism, because throughout your life, we're seeing people like me who are health coaches of rising in this new field of medicine, who are very passionate about it, to go into camera and speak about this, is the fact that we, even me, someone part of the new millennial generation, can be someone who could help out another fellow human being by just guidance, right? I mean, because if you already have the self-healing mechanism, all you need is guidance from there. You don't need much else. You have the tools, like I said, you have the internet, so you can self-educate yourself, and then all you need left is guidance. And really, throughout this life, that's what you need, is the environment, the family, the music. I see for a lot of teens and stuff helping out. So, because music is kind of a reflection of how you're feeling. A lot of people use that, and in a way, if they overuse that too, it could become an issue, right? Are we dependent on anything as our life source, our life blood? Just like how they use gas, and they use these symbologies in gas stations, like blood and the sun, right? Because the sun is what gives you energy, right? And nature. So they're manipulating nature just by the use of symbology and the use of gas mechanics, and credit card companies are doing it too. They use the sun logos as a source of energy because you're dependent on them for their product. So there's different things to look at, and that's why we have to question everything, especially in a day and age where we are exposed to multiple technologies, multiple social medias everywhere we look. And especially if you're in a city environment, that could be quite a lot. I'm in the country, so me saying all this, I still am looking at the city. I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? Because I'm not used to that. And now if I am used to that, which sometimes I am because I'm in the city, multiple days at a time, I'm like, man, I need to go back to the country because I need time to relax. I need to get away from it all. So that's another thing, right? Is if you have all these things overwhelming you, maybe you just need a lot more downtime. Now, by downtime, that doesn't mean necessarily playing video games, but that could be helpful. And you hear all these things about video games causing this, video games causing that. Again, I mean, these claims, are they justified? Do they have logic behind their arguments? So it's just a matter of questioning everything, I would say, because even in the history in our textbooks, it's not entirely true. And I think a lot of people can agree with that. So as a message from a fellow millennial, this is, what I'm giving it to. But the thing is, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter, We have people now who can think much faster because we have to keep up with the demands of society, which is moving much faster with technology. So you can achieve very intelligent mind, I believe, just through the use of technology and the use of our world, because you have all worlds that you want. You can travel very far in a matter of minutes. It's incredible what we've done with humanity and technology. We just have to be careful, right? We have to be aware of these things and what they're doing to us. Otherwise, we don't know what it is doing to us and what could happen in the future, because everything has a cause and effect. And these are the things that they don't teach you in school, which is why I'm saying it right now, is the logic, the cause and effect, the critical thinking, the common sense, the ability to rant on camera like this and not be afraid to post it online. Not be afraid to just share some thoughts, right? What's wrong with that, right? What's wrong with coffee? Just because it affects one person wrong does not mean it affects you wrong. Just because one person says it's bad does not mean it's entirely bad. So I'm not defending coffee. I'm not defending this, that. People will make claims all they want, but don't you see? Everything's a matter of mystery. Everything's a matter of exploration, and it often is for ourselves. And I keep going back to that self-powerment, because when is the school going to give you the power that you innately have, as an individual human being, not a citizen of a country, not a student of a teacher, of whom you got to listen to the textbooks and listen to the teachers. These textbooks come out every year so they can raise their prices, and then the banks can't compete, so the debt rises on the schools, and now we're heading toward a collapse. So this is the situation we're in America. And so this is like a wake-up call for this generation, because what is going on? You see all this stuff, chaos on TV. Are you just sitting there doing nothing about it? Are you speaking with anybody about it? Are you at least engaging in conversation, right? But are you making quick assumptions? Are you saying this is happening and this is happening, right? And you can say, this is what I believe, right? Be open, like I said, on camera, like what you believe. I did it just now. But the truth is, we can't be all about ourselves. We can't be all about them, and we can't be all about the universe either. We have to find a balance. And so my message to this generation when it comes to health is finding that balance, but finding the root cause. So if you're looking at the bigger picture, you could get lost. But if you're looking at the root, you're not looking at the bigger picture. So everything is then a matter of balance. And seeing both sides would then fulfill what health is, which means whole. And that goes for everybody. So again, this doesn't matter with age. I mean, this doesn't matter. But I'm directing it to the millennial generation, whether this is going to a parent of a millennial or a millennial themselves, some sort of form. It's a cycle of life. What's continuously happening needs to be addressed, because there are innate principles and truths in nature that apply every time, everywhere, every age, that we're not being taught in school, and is often ourselves that is causing the conflict with these forces that are very so much natural. And it's causing more conflict within our own species and the world that we live in. So thank you very much for watching. I'm going to wrap it up. But this is what I do, and I want to engage in the conversation that is humanity. Why is it that we need to wake up? Because look around you. Look around you. That's all I suggest. And when it comes to health, that's all it is. You think it's food, you think it's nutrition. No, it isn't. It's a matter of looking at what's around you. What's the food that I'm eating? What is it exactly? What ingredients does it have? What sugars does it have, right? But don't take my word for it. Look into it for yourself. Look into it for yourself. Why should anyone tell you? You have the resources, you have the knowledge, you have the tools, just like everyone else does, and you just live in a different environment. That's it, right? So if I live in the country, maybe to get my perspective, you can move to the country for a second. I don't know. Try different things, right? If you want to expand your mind, what do you got to do? You got to go somewhere expansive. If you want to go outside the box, what do you got to do? You got to move outside the box. So that's my perspective on things. Thank you very much for watching Nature's the Answer. Cory, Edmund, Endrulat. Thank you very much for watching.